Here in Savannah, woven wood shades are a very popular window treatment. They can be inside mounted, outside mounted, and they can have different levels of opacity and different operating systems. And from a design perspective, they've come a long way from the very chunky, very dark woods of the 70s that a lot of people think about when they think of a woven shade or a grass shade. I've got a few examples here to really illustrate the realm of design choices available. So from a combination of a fabric with bits of woven material in there, you have some lovely horizontal lines that give a nice architectural feature to the window. This one is a new collection that was just released, and it's got really finely woven horizontal, vertical, and in between spaces. Nice green color there. To what you may think of as a more traditional grass shade that has actual grass fibers and gives a really natural look on the window. Something like this is a pretty dense weave, so you may not necessarily need a lining with a shade like this. It gives you some privacy, gives you a fair amount of light control. Compare that to a really finely woven shade like this sample, which is beautiful. It's got little bits of iridescence in there. It doesn't give you very much light control and doesn't give you very much privacy at all. When that's the case, and we do need a little bit more opacity, we have the option to add linings to our shades. So let's take this one as an example. Again, very sheer, not a lot of light control, not a lot of privacy there. But we have a couple of things we can do to increase that opacity. This is a light filtering liner, kind of a sheer fabric, but enough to tone down some of that light coming through. So layered behind the shade, now you've got a little bit more light control, a little bit more opacity there. For bedrooms, where we may want even more than that, you can add a room darkening liner. These are available in typically white or ivory, and layered behind the shade fully blocks the light. One downside of the room darkening liner is you lose that nice texture. So you see, without a lining, you really appreciate the weave in that design. When you put a room darkening liner behind it, you lose some of that texture and some of that design detail. But can be really important for spaces where you need to either protect your flooring or you need to, darken the room for sleep. Another cool add-on that we can do from a decorative perspective on these shades is the addition of edge binding. So these are natural linens in different colors. They can actually be added to the edges, so the sides and the bottom of your shade. Particularly if we're using a lining behind a shade, I like to recommend an edge binding that kind of holds those layers together. And on an inside mount in particularly, I recommend an edge binding so that the wear and tear from the shade moving along your window doesn't damage, particularly on these like really loosely woven shades. So these grasses, by putting an edge binding on the side, finishes it really nicely and gives you some longevity to your shade.